Amanda rushed me through the bank doors, her hand gripping my elbow too tightly. My own daughter, treating me like a confused child at 70. The papers she thrust before me looked official, complicated. "Just sign, Dad." "It's routine," she insisted, pen hovering in my trembling hand. Something wasn't right. While she checked her phone, I scribbled a desperate note on the deposit slip. "Help. I'm being forced to sign." The young cashier's eyes met mine as she read it. When the manager approached, everything changed. Life before that pivotal day at First National Bank had been a gradual descent into manipulation and control. For 45 years, my wife Linda and I built our life together, saving carefully from my salary as a high school shop teacher. Our modest 3-bedroom ranch on Maple Street wasn't fancy, but we owned it outright, had a decent retirement account, and even put away extra for emergencies. Linda was always the organized one, handling our finances with meticulous care. 8 months ago, cancer took Linda from me. Pancreatic, stage 4 when they found it. 6 weeks from diagnosis to funeral. I barely remember those first few months afterward, rattling around our home alone, her gardening gloves still hanging by the back door, her reading glasses on the nightstand where she left them. Then came the stroke. Nothing major, the doctors said, but enough to affect mobility on my right side. Rehabilitation would take time. I could still function independently, though tasks took longer. I needed a cane, and my handwriting looked like a first grader's. But my mind remained sharp. That's when Amanda suddenly reappeared in my life. My daughter had been distant for years, visiting only on holidays with brief, perfunctory calls in between. She lived just 30 miles away in Westbrook with her husband Jack, but might as well have been on another continent. Her younger brother Thomas moved to Seattle after college, starting his own family 3,000 miles away. Linda's illness briefly brought Amanda around, but she vanished again after the funeral. So when Amanda showed up at my doorstep 3 days after my stroke, overnight bag in hand announcing she would take care of everything, I felt a surge of gratitude. Maybe tragedy had awakened her sense of family responsibility. Maybe we could finally rebuild our relationship. "Dad, you can't possibly manage alone right now," she said, surveying the unwashed dishes and pile of mail. "Let me help with your finances temporarily. You shouldn't worry about bills during recovery." I agreed, relieved to have support. She organized my medication, drove me to therapy appointments, and cooked meals. For 2 weeks, I believed my daughter had returned to me. Then small things began to trouble me. Bank statements stopped arriving. When I mentioned it, Amanda said, "I changed your mailing address to my house. It's easier to manage your bills that way." She began monitoring my accounts online, insisting it was for simplicity. One evening, when Amanda stepped out to take a phone call, I checked my online banking using Linda's old tablet. What I found turned my blood cold. 6 withdrawals totaling $50,000 over the past month. Transfers to accounts I didn't recognize. The next day, Amanda left her purse on the kitchen counter while helping me to the bathroom. Inside, I found casino receipts dated the previous week. Hundreds of dollars spent gambling while she was supposedly running errands for me. That night, I woke to voices. Amanda was on the phone in the guest room, door ajar. "It's more complicated than I thought," she whispered tensely. "We need to figure out how to access the rest of Dad's money before it's too late. He's starting to ask questions." In that moment, lying in the darkness, I realized my own daughter was systematically stealing from me. The stroke had given her the perfect opportunity, and I had handed her the keys to everything I owned. Amanda's plan accelerated with frightening efficiency. 2 weeks after I discovered the unauthorized withdrawals, she announced my house was unsafe for someone in my condition. "Dad, those stairs to the basement laundry are an accident waiting to happen," she insisted over breakfast. "Your bedroom and bathroom are upstairs. What if you fall? Jack and I have that spare room on the first floor. You're moving in with us until you're stronger." Before I could formulate a proper objection, she had packed my clothes and medications. By dinner time, I was installed in her suburban guest room, 20 miles from my home, neighbors, and support system. The isolation was immediate and absolute. Amanda screened my phone calls, claiming she was protecting me from stress. Whenever friends from church or former colleagues called, she told them I was resting or not up to visitors. My world shrank to the confines of her house, where I felt increasingly like a prisoner rather than a guest. Jack, Amanda's husband of 15 years, seemed uncomfortable with the situation. A quiet man with a perpetual worried expression, he worked as an accountant at a local manufacturing company. While Amanda was running errands one afternoon, he brought me coffee and spoke in hushed tones. "Braden, I want you to know," he started, glancing nervously at the door. "This wasn't my idea. Amanda's been different lately. The gambling started about a year ago. Small bets at first, then bigger. We're underwater, financially speaking. I just thought you should—" The front door slammed, and Jack immediately stood up, moving away from me. Amanda appeared in the doorway, her expression hardening as she looked between us. "What's going on?" she asked sharply. "Just checking if your dad needs anything," Jack mumbled, retreating to his home office. My medication regimen changed subtly. The pills looked different, and after taking them, I felt foggy and disoriented. One morning, clear-headed before my first dose, I examined the prescription bottles. The dosages were higher than what my doctor had prescribed. When confronted, Amanda claimed the doctor had called in changes. I had no way to verify this without access to my phone or medical records. One night, unable to sleep and struggling to clear my drugged mind, I made my way to Amanda's home office. In the bottom drawer of her desk, tucked inside a folder labeled Dad's Care, I found second mortgage paperwork for my house. The signature at the bottom looked like mine, but I had never signed such documents. The handwriting was close, but too neat, too steady to be my post-stroke scrawl. The next morning, I tried to call my bank from the landline in the kitchen when Amanda was in the shower. The representative asked for my account password, which I provided, but she said it had been changed recently. Before I could explain, Amanda appeared, water still dripping from her hair, and took the phone. "So sorry about that," she said smoothly. "My father is confused. He had a stroke recently. I'll handle this." She hung up and stared at me, smile vanishing. "Dad, we agreed I would handle the finances. You're just going to confuse things." That afternoon, while Amanda was at the grocery store, I searched her office again, more thoroughly this time. Behind a row of books on the shelf, I found a folder containing a notarized power of attorney document with my signature. It granted Amanda complete control over all my financial and medical decisions. The signature looked more like my pre-stroke handwriting, but I had never signed such a document. The terrible truth crashed down on me with sickening clarity. Amanda wasn't just stealing from me, she was systematically taking legal control of everything I owned. The psychological warfare intensified over the next 2 weeks. Each time I questioned Amanda or expressed concern, she responded with practiced patience, as if addressing a confused child. "Dad, we discussed this yesterday. Don't you remember? The doctor said your memory might be affected by the stroke." But I hadn't forgotten. She was gaslighting me, making me doubt my own recollections, creating a paper trail of cognitive decline to justify her actions. Thomas flew in from Seattle for a weekend visit. I hadn't seen my son in almost a year and hoped desperately for an ally. Amanda met him at the airport, giving her version of events before I could speak to him. "Thomas, I'm so glad you're here," I said when he arrived, searching his face for understanding. "I need to talk to you privately. It's important." "Sure, Dad," he replied. But his expression was guarded. Before we could find a moment alone, Amanda hovered constantly, steering conversations away from finances or my living situation. When I finally managed to tell Thomas about the unauthorized withdrawals and forged documents, he looked pained. "Amanda told me you might say things like this," he said gently. "She's worried about you. The doctor mentioned paranoia can sometimes happen after a stroke. Why don't you rest now? We can talk more later." Later never came. Thomas spent most of his visit conferring with Amanda in hushed tones, looking at me with a mixture of pity and concern. He left after 2 days, promising to call more often, but the betrayal cut deep. My own son believed I was mentally compromised. The day after Thomas left, Amanda introduced me to Dr. Patricia Lewis, a specialist who had come to evaluate me. The examination took place in Amanda's living room. No medical office, no formal assessment tools. "Mr. Walker, what day is it today?" Dr. Lewis asked, clipboard in hand. "Tuesday, April 14th. I answered correctly. She wrote something down, frowning slightly. "And who is the current president?" I answered this and several more basic questions accurately. Then she turned to Amanda. "Has he been exhibiting any unusual behaviors? Confusion? Paranoia?" Amanda launched into a litany of fabricated symptoms, how I accused her of stealing, couldn't remember conversations, became agitated for no reason. Dr. Lewis nodded sympathetically, writing it all down without questioning. 3 days later, Amanda waved a document in front of me. "Dr. Lewis diagnosed you with early-stage dementia, Dad. It explains everything, the confusion, the accusations. Don't worry, I'll take care of you." That night, I overheard Amanda and Jack arguing in their bedroom. "This has gone too far," Jack said, his voice tight with strain. "Forging signatures? Fake medical evaluations? This isn't just unethical, it's criminal." "What choice do I have?" Amanda hissed. "We're $300,000 in debt from my mistakes. The casino won't extend more credit. Dad has the money we need, and he'll never know the difference. Once we sell his house, he'll have nowhere to live." Jack interrupted. "There are state facilities for people with dementia," Amanda replied coldly. "Medicare will cover it." The next morning, while Amanda was in the shower and Jack had left for work, I searched their bedroom. In Amanda's nightstand, I found a real estate listing for my home, prepared but not yet published. In the kitchen drawer, hidden beneath placemats, were brochures for Pinewood Care Center, a state-funded nursing facility 30 miles away. The pieces fell into horrifying place. Amanda planned to sell my home, drain my accounts, and dump me in a cut-rate nursing home. My own daughter was erasing my existence to cover gambling debts. With shaking hands, I found Jack's business card in the drawer and copied his cell number onto a scrap of paper, hiding it in my sock. I didn't know if he would help me, but he seemed to have some conscience left. He might be my only hope. The next day, Amanda announced we had routine banking business to handle. She seemed nervous, checking her watch repeatedly as she rushed me through breakfast. "Just some paperwork that needs your signature," she said, not meeting my eyes. "The bank needs to update their records." As she loaded me into the car, I saw a thick folder of documents on the back seat. I caught a glimpse of the top page. Property transfer agreement. Amanda was taking me to the bank to sign away my home. First National Bank buzzed with typical Thursday morning activity. Amanda gripped my elbow tightly, steering me toward a desk in the corner where fewer people would notice us. Her fingers dug into my skin through my jacket, a physical reminder of her control. "Remember, Dad, this is just routine paperwork," she repeated, her voice artificially bright. "The quicker we finish, the sooner we can get lunch at that diner you like." I hadn't been to any diner in months. Another lie. The young cashier, whose nameplate read Alicia Thompson, smiled professionally as we approached. She couldn't have been more than 25, with kind eyes behind fashionable glasses. Amanda positioned herself between us, blocking my view. "Good morning," Amanda said briskly. "My father needs to sign some documents. We'd like a private space, if possible." Alicia nodded. "Of course. Let me check if one of our consultation rooms is available." While she made a phone call, Amanda arranged papers on the counter, angling them so I couldn't read the content clearly. I caught phrases like transfer of ownership and complete relinquishment of property rights. My heart pounded painfully against my ribs. "Just standard updates," Amanda murmured, noticing my attention. "Nothing to worry about." Alicia returned. "Room 3 is open. I'll need to make copies of your ID and witness the signatures." Amanda's smile tightened. "Is that necessary? We're in a bit of a hurry." "Bank policy for property transfers," Alicia replied professionally. "I'll need both your IDs, please." Amanda reluctantly placed our driver's licenses on the counter. As Alicia examined them, I saw my opportunity. While Amanda dug through her purse for a pen, I grabbed a deposit slip from the counter and scribbled hastily. "Help! I'm being forced to sign. Not willing." My post-stroke handwriting was shaky but legible. "Let me take these for copying," Alicia said, collecting our IDs. I slipped the note beneath my license, praying she would see it. Amanda pulled out the chair beside the desk. "Sit here, Dad. Let's get this done quickly." She placed a pen in my right hand, the one weakened by the stroke. My fingers trembled, partly from weakness, partly from fear. "Just sign where I've marked," she instructed, flipping to the last page and pointing to a line without letting me read the content. "It's all standard language, nothing to worry about." I stalled, pretending to adjust my glasses. "What exactly am I signing?" Amanda's expression hardened momentarily before softening into false concern. "Just account updates, Dad. Remember? We discussed this yesterday." Another lie. I deliberately fumbled with the pen, buying time. Alicia returned with our IDs, her expression carefully neutral, but I noticed her eyes had changed. She glanced at me, then at Amanda, then back to me. "Miss Walker, would you excuse us for a moment? I need my manager to verify something with your father's ID. Bank policy for customers over 65. Amanda frowned. "That's ridiculous. I'm his daughter and caretaker. It will only take a minute," Alicia insisted, already moving away. "I'll be right back." As soon as she left, Amanda leaned close. "Sign the papers now, Dad. We need to finish before they come back." "I want to read them first," I said, summoning courage I didn't know I had. "There's no time," she hissed, pushing the pen into my hand and forcing it toward the signature line. I dropped the pen deliberately, watching it roll across the floor. Amanda's face flushed with anger as she bent to retrieve it. A tall woman in a charcoal suit approached, flanked by Alicia and a uniformed security guard. Her nameplate identified her as Jessica Harmon, branch manager. "Mr. Walker?" She addressed me directly, deliberately, not acknowledging Amanda. "I'm Jessica. Would you mind joining me in my office for a few minutes?" Amanda jumped to her feet. "Whatever this is about, I should be present. My father has dementia and gets confused." Jessica's expression remained professional but firm. "Mr. Walker can bring an advocate of his choosing. The decision is his." "I'd like to speak with you alone," I said, relief flooding through me. Amanda's composure cracked. "Dad, you're confused. We need to finish our business and get you home for your medication." Jessica nodded imperceptibly to the security guard, who stepped closer. "Sir, is there a problem?" he asked me directly. Before I could answer, Amanda grabbed the documents from the desk. "This is ridiculous. We'll take our business elsewhere." As she tried to leave, Jessica spoke quietly into a device on her wrist. Within seconds, 2 more security personnel appeared at the bank entrance. "Miss Walker," Jessica said calmly, "please take a seat. The police are on their way." Amanda's face drained of color. "Police? This is absurd. I'm helping my father with his banking." Jessica turned to me. "Mr. Walker, are you being coerced to sign these documents?" "Yes," I said, my voice stronger than it had been in months. "She's trying to steal my house and my savings. She has gambling debts." Amanda lunged for the papers again. "He's confused. He had a stroke." The security guard gently but firmly restrained her as she tried to gather the documents. 2 police officers entered the bank, responding to the silent alarm Jessica had triggered. "What's going on here?" asked the first officer, a middle-aged man whose nameplate read Officer Wilson. Jessica explained the situation concisely. "We have reason to believe this gentleman is being coerced to sign over his property. He passed a note to our teller asking for help." Officer Wilson turned to me. "Sir, is this accurate?" "Yes," I said, my voice breaking. "My daughter has been stealing from me since my stroke. She's forged my signature on other documents. She changed my medication dosages to keep me confused." Amanda's desperate composure finally shattered. "He's senile. Check with his doctor. He has dementia." "We'll sort this out at the station," Officer Wilson said, gesturing to his partner. "Miss Walker, please come with us." As they escorted Amanda out, she shouted over her shoulder, "Dad, don't do this! I'm the only one who cares about you." The emotional dam I'd built over months of abuse suddenly broke. I collapsed into the chair. Decades of teaching shop class to teenagers, years of marriage, a lifetime of hard work, and careful saving reduced to this betrayal by my own daughter. Jessica sat beside me, offering a box of tissues. "Mr. Walker, we're going to help you. This happens more often than you might think." Officer Wilson returned after placing Amanda in the patrol car. "Sir, we need to take your statement. But first, we should conduct a forensic examination of your accounts. With your permission?" I nodded, still struggling to compose myself. Jessica pulled up my accounts on her computer, her expression growing grimmer with each screen. "Mr. Walker, I'm afraid most of your accounts have been emptied. Your checking account has $23 remaining. Your savings account shows withdrawals totaling $148,000 over the past 3 months. Your pension payments have been redirected to another account." Officer Wilson wrote this down. "Any other assets we should examine?" "My house," I said weakly. "She was trying to make me sign it over today." Jessica checked property records online. "There's already a second mortgage taken out 3 weeks ago for $120,000. Officer Wilson looked up. "Did you authorize that?" "No." She must have forged my signature. The office door opened, and Alicia entered with a cup of water and a business card. "This is Ellen Martinez from Adult Protective Services. She's on her way. She says you'll need a safe place to stay tonight." As I sipped the water, the reality of my situation hit me. My accounts drained, my home mortgaged without my knowledge, and nowhere to go. In a single morning, I had become homeless at 70 years old. "Nearly $300,000, Jessica said quietly, finishing her assessment of the damage, plus the attempt to transfer the house today. "This is elder abuse on a significant scale, Mr. Walker." I stared at my trembling hands, the same hands that had built cabinets and taught hundreds of students how to create rather than destroy. "What happens now?" "Now," said Officer Wilson gently, "we make sure this never happens to you again." The following weeks passed in a blur of interviews, paperwork, and legal proceedings. Adult Protective Services placed me in temporary emergency housing, a small apartment in a senior living facility with round-the-clock staff. My caseworker, Ellen Martinez, a compassionate woman in her 50s with salt and pepper hair and no-nonsense efficiency, helped me navigate the bewildering aftermath. "Financial elder abuse is tragically common," she explained during our first meeting, "especially from family members. You're not alone in this, Braden." Ellen connected me with Sam Patterson, an attorney specializing in elder law. With his silver-framed glasses and bow tie, Sam looked like he belonged in another era, but his understanding of elder financial abuse was thoroughly modern. "We need a complete forensic accounting of the stolen funds," he explained in his office. "Walls lined with legal texts. We've frozen all your remaining assets to prevent further theft, and we're pursuing emergency orders to invalidate any power of attorney documents Amanda created." The investigation revealed the full extent of Amanda's deception. She had systematically emptied my accounts, diverted my pension payments, taken loans against all my assets, and forged my signature on countless documents. The total approached $300,000, nearly everything I had. "Gambling addiction," Detective Laura Bryant explained, showing me casino records. "Your daughter lost over $250,000 in the past year. The pattern is classic escalating bets, loans, then desperate measures to find more money." A week after the bank incident, Jack contacted Detective Bryant. "I can't condone what Amanda did," he told me later, his voice tired over the phone. "I knew about the gambling, but not the extent of what she was doing to you. I'm filing for divorce and cooperating with the investigation." Jack provided crucial evidence: Amanda's hidden financial records, copies of forged documents, and text messages discussing her plans. His testimony detailed how her gambling addiction had spiraled out of control, resulting in massive debts and increasingly desperate behavior. "She changed about a year ago," he explained to the detective. "Lost her job at the insurance company, started going to the casino to network for new opportunities. By the time I realized it was an addiction, we were $50,000 in debt. When your stroke happened, she saw it as a solution to our financial problems. Thomas flew in from Seattle, devastated by what had occurred. "Dad, I'm so sorry," he said, embracing me in the sterile visiting room of my temporary housing. I believed her when she said you were confused. I should have asked more questions. She fooled a lot of people, I replied, grateful to have at least one child who cared. The court hearing before Judge Marilyn Simmons was scheduled for early June. Amanda, released on bail but facing multiple felony charges, hired defense attorney Gregory Daniels, known for representing white-collar criminals. My client acted out of concern for her father's well-being, Daniels argued in the preliminary hearing. Mr. Walker suffered a stroke and exhibited signs of cognitive impairment. She was protecting his assets from his own confusion. Sam Patterson countered forcefully. Your Honor, we have bank videos showing Miss Walker rushing her father to sign documents he clearly didn't understand. We have forged signatures, falsified medical evaluations, and testimony from her own husband about her gambling debts. This wasn't protection, it was theft, plain and simple. Amanda's attorney attempted to question my competence, suggesting my stroke had left me confused and paranoid. Perhaps Mr. Walker simply doesn't remember authorizing these transactions. His medical records show— Objection, Sam interrupted. The so-called medical evaluation was conducted by Patricia Lewis, who we now know is not a licensed physician but Miss Sis, Walker's former college roommate, with a bachelor's degree in biology. Judge Simmons' eyebrows rose, sustained, and Miss Lewis may face charges of her own for impersonating a medical professional. The hearing's turning point came when Sam called an unexpected witness. Sarah Johnson, my former teaching colleague and current geriatric specialist at County Hospital. I've conducted a thorough cognitive assessment of Braden Walker, Sarah testified, her familiar face a welcome sight after months of isolation. He shows no signs of dementia or significant cognitive impairment. His memory is intact, his reasoning sound. The confusion his daughter reported was likely the result of medication doses being altered without medical authorization. Judge Simmons studied the evidence carefully. This court takes elder abuse extremely seriously. Based on the overwhelming evidence presented, I'm ordering a full criminal investigation into Amanda Walker's actions. All assets remain frozen pending resolution, and the power of attorney documents are hereby invalidated. Mr. Walker is to be restored as the legal controller of all his financial affairs. As the gavel came down, I felt both vindication and profound sadness. I had won this battle, but at what cost? My relationship with my daughter lay in ruins, my financial security devastated, and my trust in people fundamentally shaken. Thomas approached me as we left the courtroom. "Dad, come stay with us in Seattle while this gets sorted out. Jenny and the kids would love to have you." For the first time in months, I had choices again. Real choices, not the illusions of choice Amanda had offered while manipulating me. "Thank you, son. I think that might be exactly what I need." The Pacific Northwest's endless summer days provided a healing backdrop as I settled into Thomas's guest room in Seattle. His wife Jenny welcomed me with genuine warmth, and their children 10-year-old Emma and 7-year-old Lucas showed none of the awkwardness adults often display around illness or family drama. "Grandpa, can you help me build a birdhouse?" Lucas asked my third day there, unaware of how much the simple request meant to me to be needed for my skills rather than my bank accounts. While I rebuilt my life in Seattle, the legal machinery ground forward in my hometown. Sam Patterson called weekly with updates. "The prosecutor has offered Amanda a plea deal," he informed me in late July. "Return of all recoverable assets in exchange for reduced charges. They're suggesting 5 years probation, mandatory addiction treatment, and restitution payments." "How much can actually be recovered?" I asked, steeling myself for the answer. "About 40% of the total," Sam admitted. "The second mortgage can be invalidated since it was fraudulently obtained. Your pension payments can be redirected back to you. But the money she gambled away is gone, Braden. I'm sorry." The hardest part wasn't the financial loss, though that was substantial. It was the question that haunted my sleep. How could my own daughter do this to me? Thomas made extraordinary efforts to help me recover, both financially and emotionally. He connected me with neighbors from my hometown who had been trying to reach me during my captivity at Amanda's house. Braden, we were so worried. Martha Wilson from across the street told me during a video call. Amanda told us you couldn't have visitors because of infection risk after your stroke. When weeks went by without anyone seeing you, Bill and I nearly called the police. My church group organized a support circle, meeting virtually with me each Sunday after services. Pastor Frank Davies, who had known Linda and me for 20 years, helped me process the betrayal. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing what happened, he counseled. It means freeing yourself from carrying the burden of anger. It's a process, not an event. As August approached, Thomas suggested we fly back for a court date where I would deliver my victim impact statement. You need closure, Dad, and Amanda needs to hear directly from you what she did. Amanda had been living with a cousin since her release on bail, wearing an ankle monitor and attending court-mandated gambling addiction treatment. I hadn't spoken to her since the day at the bank. The night before our flight, Thomas received a call from Jack. Your sister's been telling people you abandoned the family years ago, he reported, putting the call on speaker. She's created this whole narrative where you moved to Seattle to escape family responsibilities, leaving her to care for your parents alone. She's been feeding that story to relatives for years. Thomas's expression hardened. That's ridiculous. I called home every week. I visited 3 times a year until Mom got sick, then came back monthly during her treatment. I know, Jack replied wearily. Amanda has a gift for creating alternate realities. She told her cousins you refused to help with medical bills. She told your aunts you never called. She's been driving a wedge between you and your extended family for years. After the call ended, Thomas sat in stunned silence. All this time, I thought the distance in our family was because I moved away. But she was actively sabotaging our relationships. She manipulated all of us, I said, processing this new betrayal. She didn't just steal money, she stole our family connections. When we arrived at the courthouse the following Tuesday, I was surprised by the crowd in the visitors' gallery. Former students, neighbors, church members, even colleagues from the high school where I'd taught for 30 years, all there to support me. Their presence strengthened my resolve as I approached the podium to deliver my statement. Amanda sat at the defendant's table, thinner than I remembered, eyes downcast. She hadn't looked at me once. Your Honor, I began, my voice steadier than I expected. I taught woodworking to teenagers for 30 years. The first lesson was always about respect for the tools, for the materials, for each other. When students respected the dangerous tools in our shop, nobody got hurt. When they didn't, the consequences could be severe. I paused, gathering my thoughts. My daughter didn't respect me as a person with autonomy and dignity. She saw me as a resource to be exploited. After my stroke, she isolated me from friends and family. She altered my medication to keep me confused. She forged my signature on legal documents. She planned to sell my home and place me in a state facility while she took everything I'd worked for. I turned slightly to address Amanda directly. The money hurts, yes. But what hurts more is knowing my own child saw my vulnerability as an opportunity. That she could look me in the eye while systematically dismantling my life. That she valued casino chips over her father's welfare. Amanda finally looked up, tears streaming down her face. I may never understand how you could do this, but I do understand addiction makes people desperate. It doesn't excuse your actions, but perhaps it explains them. I hope you get the help you need, because the daughter I raised is still in there somewhere, beneath the deception and manipulation. I turned back to Judge Simmons. Your Honor, I ask for justice, but also for rehabilitation. Prison won't recover my savings or rebuild my trust, but perhaps mandatory treatment might eventually restore my daughter. The courtroom remained silent as I returned to my seat. Judge Simmons thanked me for my statement before addressing Amanda. Miss Walker, stand for sentencing. Amanda rose, shakily, supported by her attorney. This court sentences you to 5 years probation, with the first year under house arrest. You will complete a 2-year intensive gambling addiction treatment program. You will make restitution payments, according to the schedule established by the court. You will have no control over any financial matters for any vulnerable adult for the rest of your life. Violation of these terms will result in immediate imprisonment. Judge Simmons leaned forward. Mr. Walker showed mercy today. Remember that as you move forward. Outside the courthouse, community members approached with offers of support. My former shop student, now a successful contractor, handed me a check. For your new start, Mr. Walker. The Contractors Association took up a collection. We haven't forgotten what you taught us. As Thomas and I prepared to leave, Jack approached hesitantly. Braden, I know I should have done more to stop this. I'm sorry. You eventually did the right thing, I acknowledged. That counts for something. He nodded gratefully. There's something else you should know. The therapy seems to be helping Amanda. She started acknowledging what she did without excuses or blame shifting. The counselor says it's an important first step. I wasn't ready to forgive, but the information settled somewhere in my heart, a small seed of possibility. The community fundraiser organized by my former students eventually raised $35,000, not enough to replace what was lost, but enough to help me start over. Combined with the recovered assets and my reinstated pension, I would be able to live modestly but securely. Thomas and Jenny invited me to stay permanently in Seattle, but as healing as their home had been, I knew I needed to reclaim my independence. I appreciate everything, but I need my own place, I told them over dinner. Somewhere I can rebuild on my own terms. Thomas understood. You've always been independent, Dad. Just promise you'll stay close enough for weekly dinners. As summer turned to fall, I began to envision a new chapter, not the retirement Linda and I had planned, but one with meaning and dignity nonetheless. December brought crisp air and holiday decorations to the Willow Creek Senior Community, where I'd purchased a 1-bedroom condo using the proceeds from selling my original home. Located just 15 minutes from Thomas's house in Seattle, the complex offered independence with an underlying safety net of community. 6 months had passed since the courthouse confrontation. The legal aspects of Amanda's case were largely resolved, though the emotional aftermath continued to evolve. My new home, smaller and simpler than the house Linda and I had shared, symbolized my fresh start. Modern appliances accommodated my lingering right-side weakness, while wide doorways easily fit my walker on bad days. Jessica Harmon, the bank manager whose quick action had stopped Amanda's final theft, had kept in touch, checking on me regularly. When she transferred to a Seattle branch, our professional relationship evolved into friendship. The bank is implementing new training specifically for detecting elder financial abuse, she told me over coffee in my new kitchen. Would you consider sharing your story with our staff? Personal experiences make the biggest impact. This led to my involvement with the Elder Protection Alliance, speaking at community centers and senior groups about recognizing warning signs of financial exploitation. Each presentation helped transform my victimization into something purposeful. If sharing my experience prevents one person from going through what I did, it's worth reliving those difficult memories. I explained to the audience at my first workshop. Thomas and his family integrated me into their lives without making me feel dependent. Sunday dinners became our tradition, with Emma and Lucas competing for my attention with stories about school and sports. Grandpa, did you know Mom's teaching me woodworking like you taught Dad? Lucas announced proudly one Sunday, showing off a slightly lopsided birdhouse. Thomas smiled. Dad, remember those Saturday workshops you used to hold in the garage? I've started doing the same with the kids. These moments passing skills and values to a new generation helped heal the wound of Amanda's betrayal. Family continuity would survive despite her actions. The holidays approached with bittersweet anticipation. My first Christmas without Linda had been lost in the fog of grief and manipulation. This second Christmas would be different, still marked by her absence but surrounded by genuine care. 2 weeks before Christmas, Thomas received an unexpected call from Amanda's counselor. She'd like to see you both if you're willing. It's part of her recovery process to make amends. Thomas looked to me for guidance. It's your call, Dad. No pressure either way. I considered the request carefully. I'm not ready for a private meeting, but perhaps something public, with boundaries. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop near the treatment center, a neutral location with plenty of people around. Amanda arrived, escorted by her counselor, Dr. Rachel Taylor. My daughter looked dramatically different, the designer clothes and perfect makeup replaced by simple jeans and a sweater, her formerly highlighted hair now its natural brown. No one spoke for several uncomfortable moments. Finally, Amanda broke the silence. "Thank you for coming," she said, eyes fixed on the table. "I know you had every reason to refuse." Dr. Taylor nodded encouragingly. Amanda has something she'd like to share as part of her therapeutic process. Amanda unfolded a paper with visibly shaking hands. "I've written this and rewritten it dozens of times," she admitted. "Nothing seems adequate." She began reading. "Dad, Thomas, the first destroyed our family through my actions. I became addicted to gambling after losing my job, seeking the temporary high of winning instead of admitting failure. When that created massive debts, I convinced myself taking Dad's money was justified because I needed it more. I lied to everyone, including myself. I isolated Dad, gaslighted him, and exploited his stroke. I created false divisions between Thomas and the family through years of deliberate lies." Her voice broke, but she continued, "I'm not asking for forgiveness. What I did was unforgivable. I'm in recovery not just for gambling, but for the manipulative personality traits that made such cruelty possible. I'm working to understand why I was capable of hurting the people who loved me most." She finally looked up, meeting my eyes directly. "The money I stole, I'll spend my life trying to repay it. I've sold everything of value. I'm working 2 jobs while in treatment. It won't be fast. But making restitution is my priority, regardless of the court requirements." Thomas spoke for the first time. "Why did you tell the family I abandoned everyone? What could you possibly gain from turning relatives against me?" Amanda's shoulders slumped. "Control. Attention. If everyone believed I was the dutiful daughter while you were the absent son, they admired me more. It fed my ego and ensured no one questioned my actions with Dad. It's a pattern that started long before the gambling," Dr. Taylor interjected gently. "Amanda is working on identifying these patterns of manipulation that began in adolescence. It's difficult but important work. I studied my daughter's face, searching for sincerity versus performance. She had always been convincing. It was what made her betrayal so effective. But something felt different now. The polished facade was gone, replaced by raw discomfort and genuine shame." "What happens after treatment?" I asked. "I'll continue outpatient therapy indefinitely," she answered. "Jack and I are divorcing, but he's been supportive of my recovery. I'm living in shared housing with other women in recovery. I'm starting over completely." As the conversation continued, I observed rather than fully participated. The anger that had sustained me through the worst months had gradually transmuted into something more complex, not forgiveness exactly, but perhaps the first step toward it. Before we parted, Amanda handed me an envelope. "Your Christmas present," she explained. "It's not much, but it's a start." Later, alone in my condo, I opened it. Inside was a receipt for a $500 payment to my restitution account and a handwritten note. "First of many. I cannot undo the past, but I can take responsibility for the future." The gesture was small compared to what had been taken, but its symbolism mattered. Whether Amanda could sustain this commitment remained to be seen, but the effort itself represented possibility. Christmas Eve brought an unexpected gathering. Thomas and Jenny hosted dinner for extended family cousins, aunts, and uncles, who had been fed Amanda's lies for years. Many approached me privately, apologizing for believing her distortions about Thomas abandoning the family. "She was always so convincing," my brother-in-law Steve admitted. "We never thought to question her version of events." Thomas took me aside during the festivities. "Dad, I've been thinking about what Jack revealed, how Amanda manipulated the entire family narrative for years. It explains so much about why I always felt unwelcome, despite my efforts to stay connected. She created divisions. None of us saw clearly, I agreed. But look around. Those divisions aren't permanent unless we allow them to be. As midnight approached, Jenny gathered everyone for a toast. To family, she said, raising her glass. Not perfect, sometimes broken, but always worth fighting for. Looking around the room at the faces of people reconnecting after years of manufactured distance, I felt Linda's absence keenly, but also her presence in the values we'd shared: honesty, resilience, and the courage to rebuild what's broken. In the year since that pivotal day at First National Bank, I'd lost my home, most of my savings, and my trust in my daughter. But I'd gained something too: a deeper understanding of family beyond biological connections, the knowledge that community can become family when blood ties falter, and the recognition that even at 70, life offers new beginnings. The fundamental lesson wasn't about financial security, though I'd certainly become more vigilant about protecting my assets. The deeper teaching was about recognizing the difference between genuine care and manipulation disguised as concern, about maintaining independence even while accepting help, about rebuilding trust carefully, with appropriate boundaries. As I settled into my new condo that night, I placed Linda's photo on the nightstand. "I made it through, love," I whispered. "Not the way we planned, but I'm still standing." The journey from victim to survivor had been brutal, but transformative. I would never again mistake control for care or isolation for protection. I would question documentation I didn't understand and maintain connections with multiple people rather than allowing one person to become my sole lifeline. Most importantly, I would continue sharing my story, helping others recognize the warning signs I had missed until it was almost too late. My experience could become a lifeline for another vulnerable senior, transforming pain into purpose. The new year approached with modest promises: continued healing, strengthened family bonds, and the quiet dignity of a life rebuilt on my own terms. The story Amanda tried to write for me: confused old man relegated to a care facility, assets drained, independence destroyed, had been rejected in favor of my own narrative: survivor, educator, family elder reclaiming his rightful place. Have you ever faced a situation where you had to trust your instincts, even when others tried to make you doubt yourself? How did you handle it? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Like this video if you found it meaningful. Subscribe to our channel for more stories of resilience and transformation, and share with someone who might need to hear this message of hope after betrayal. Thank you for listening to my journey, and may you find the strength to write your own story, no matter what challenges you face.